how you're doing? How's your day going? I'm just starting. How was your night? Hope you had an amazing night rest. My name is Praise, and you're currently tuned into my channel. Yeah, just I wanted to remind you in case you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe, leave a like on this video, and if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll be sure to respond to every single one of them. Anyways, so if you're currently watching this video, I want to believe you already understand Python, HTML, and maybe the basics of CSS. If you don't, I'll leave two links in the description, one to my playlist and the other one to my blog. I recently started a blog last week, so there's not much on the blog yet, but every single thing you need to follow up with this video is on the blog, including sections of things that will be covered in this video are on the blog, and the blog is completely free till the end of time. Anyway, so I'm sure like most of you are like so everyone was telling me that all I needed to do was learn Python, learn HTML, learn CSS, and I'll be able to create amazing apps. And it's like very easy. Python is the easiest language. Yet I've learned all these things and I still don't know how to do any of those. Why? So this video is going to answer that question. But once again, if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe and let's get into it. So Python is a very easy language, yes. Python is very flexible and covers a lot of functionalities, yes. Python is the most advisable language to learn depending on what field you're planning on going into, yes. But Python is divided into so many sections because for Python to be able to perform all these things people say it can perform, it needs to have bodies. Now, in programming, there's this stuff called frameworks. Frameworks are like structures for your programming language to lean on in order to carry out advanced functions. For example, JavaScript has a framework. There's Angular. I think is Node also a JavaScript. I know JavaScript has another one. There's this other one aside Angular. I'm not a JavaScript developer. C++ has its own framework. Bootstrap is a type of CSS framework. If you look at it, kind of. So every single programming language has a framework. Now, in Python, the frameworks are broad. There are different frameworks created for different. Let me see if I can just pull it up somewhere on the internet. There are different frameworks created for different purposes. Because remember, I said you can use Python for game development, you can use Python for web development, you can use Python to create for data science. So I wrote Python, and now my mouse is misbehaving. Okay, Python frameworks. So Python has different frameworks that allows you to carry out whatever it is you wish to. So it allows you searching to suggested. So this Django and these flags, those are the frameworks for web development. I know there's still more. So let's just see if I can build up if I can find what each frameworks are and what they are used for. Okay, I'm sorry, I have like a serious cold and I'm still staying in front of the fan because I'm still very, very hot, but my nose is blocked and I'm just wow. Okay, okay, okay. I've seen types of frameworks. Okay, this side didn't really. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to put a table here. I'll sort it out by myself. Put a table here so you guys can see it for yourselves. Anyway, so remember this first part of this channel, we're going to be covering full stack development. So as a full stack developer, you should be able to manipulate the front end and the back end. Now, ideally, most people will tell you, for your front end, learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Yes. Then for your back end, people will tell you to learn Angular and database. Me personally, like I've been saying since forever, I'm not a JavaScript developer. So for my front end, I know how to manipulate JavaScript into my program, yes, but I make sure I like try my possible best never to use it. So my front end is mostly HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap, and my back end is Python. Because on Python you can manipulate your database with Python and whatnot. So There are two main frameworks, two very popular frameworks I know of for Python that I've actually used: Flask and Django. So according to what people say, Flask is easier than Django, and Flask was the first one I learned. So I know I'm supposed to be teaching you guys Flask, but the last time I used Flask was in 2019. So I literally don't remember any single thing about Flask except from how the logo looks. But I remember Django because I literally used Django yesterday. So I created a whole project yesterday, which is on my GitHub. I'm going to link it in the description below, and that is the project we're going to work on today. So I'm going to like brief you guys on the basics of Python, of Django, and then we are going to work on a website. The website is going to be a basic blog. How to run a blog with Python is very easy. So let's get started. So let me just go to my desktop and create a folder. My desktop is ugly, so I'm supposed to have. I used to change like Reddit my this stuff every month. I've never done it for this month, so I'll get to it. So let's just create a new folder, and let's call it I don't even know. I don't know how to name this shit. Okay, let's call it Django log, I guess. So it's on desktop. So let's open um a folder for Django blog. Alright, let's select this folder. Alright, so what are the things we are going to cover here? We're going to cover installing Django, setting up Django, start creating a project, creating an app, two different things, and designing, running it. And we are going to also check out the different structures inside the project and the app. After this, maybe like three videos following this, we are going to learn how to push it to servers. Because right now we're running everything on a local server. So after this, we're going to learn how to push it to your server. So let's get started, shall we? So first things first, we are in the blog. We need to create a virtual environment. So for those of you who don't know what a virtual environment creates kind of like a new system inside your own system that your program is running on. This comes in handy when you are running like so many projects and you don't want the, like for example your CSS especially, that is very very annoying, and that was a mistake I kept making when I was nearly getting into programming. So I never run on virtual environment. So my CSS form, like sometimes I'll use like the same CSS name to CSS file name to save them, but they're like different directories. But they'll always find a way to like keep crashing into each other, and it was very very annoying. So creating a virtual environment is necessary. So open your terminal up. And once you have your terminal started, the first thing you want to do is ensure you have Python. If you have been following my tutorials, we're supposed to have Python on our system now, but if you don't have and get Python, add it to your path. It's part of the installation. We have covered this. I'll link the video below. And next, we want to ensure we have pip. Pip usually gets installed with Python. So pip is it's a Python package installer. It's literally used to install packages into your device, so you can see you can be able to access certain modules and run certain features on your program. So just to ensure we have it, let's run actually I've forgotten how to check if you have pip. Is it just running pip? I have never actually had to check if I had pip available. Okay, yes, we have it. I've never really had to check it because like I always install, like I know how to install my listings. So anyway, we're happy because if we didn't have people who have sent us like some type of error. But if you don't have pip, on your system, you can simply run I think Python, or you can go to their website and download it. That's probably easier. But you can run Python get pip.py, right? Okay, no, that's not. Oh, you have to download it first. I see the best thing to do is to just download your Python project and run it properly. But if you mistakenly fail to install pip, you go to there's a website. Um, download this pip. I'll link it below. There's a website. There's a website to download it. So when you go to the website to download it, you add it into the same location, the same directory where your Python file is, and then you would I open Amazon. You add it to the same the directory where your Python file is, and you would run that get pip. So what is going to happen is going to access the pip file and is going to install it. So this is the website. Um so I'll leave the link to the website below so you can download it. All right. So we have pip. Now we're going to excuse oh gosh, I'm really sick. We are going to install our virtual environment. So there are multiple types of virtual environment. Oh god. But the one we're going to be using is this virtual env. Oh my god, my nose just cleared. Oh so use pip install virtual env. That is um virtual env. That's spell it well. All right. So I already have mine present, but yeah, requirements already satisfied. But for you guys, it's going to download it, and once it's downloaded, we are going to run our virtual and so to activate the virtual environment, you just run the virtual env, then the name of the name you want to call the environment. So you can name it any single thing, but I'm going to name my own venv. All right, so run. It's going to create a folder inside here. So this space with my cursor is the first. You can see the. Oh gosh, can I continue this video? So right now the files will be downloading. So you can see script. Script is what is going to be able to activate it. Inside the script has the activate here. So this is what activates the file. So there are different types of activate because if you are running it on PowerShell, this one is being run on PowerShell. So just yeah. Oh, okay. So now that our virtual environment is installed, we are going to activate it. So it's going to be the name of your virtual environment. So the name of our own is venv backslash. We're going to remember that script folder. So this over here, this script folder I showed you here. So we're going to run this capital S. Oh, wrong place. This capital S script. And next we're going to activate it. So you just run activate. I'm in Django blog now. Okay, sorry, I put the backslash in front of it at first. Sorry. Alright, so if you to know if your virtual environment is activated, you can check this place here. You see this bracket with your environment name. So in order to deactivate, you just simply type deactivate. Alright, so it's deactivated. So let's activate it again. Nice. Now that it's activated, we want to install Django. So to do this, we're going to make use of pip again. So it's pip install Django. Taking too much time. All right. So now here's the thing. Well, this is like if I affected to explain the whole um virtual environment to you. So I already have Django installed on my device, but the virtual environment is like a whole new computer on its own. So once you install it, it's going to reinstall all again. So whenever you're running a program inside your virtual environment, even if you already have it on your system, you always need to reinstall it into your environment. I hope you understand that. Okay. Wow, my network is really, really terrible. Okay, so while we're waiting, so my last couple of videos, usually my intro and the transaction usually have like they usually have sounds within them. But for my last like 3 or 4 videos, every single sound I put were copyrighted, so I had to pull it down. But I'm working on trying to like create a sound for my channel so no one can copyright me, and I'm going to copyright sound hopefully. Anyways, the Django is installed. Now we can run this Django admin. This is going to show you some of the basic commands that Django allows you to use, but we're only going to access the field. So ignore this red light you're seeing here. Just ignore this for now. It's just leave it. So all right. So here we can see all these things we don't really need. I'm looking for the ones that we're going to be using now. All right. Make migrations and migrate. These are very handy. We are going to see it once we create our project. Run server is literally to run the local server so you can view your web app. And start app and start project. Remember, I told you those are two very different things. All right, so now that we have this, let's create our first project. So we're going to run Django admin, start project, start project, and the name you want to call the project. So I said we're going to be creating a blog. So let's create a blog. So let's just save it as blog. Let me use double G because I have so many apps on my system named blog, and I don't want it to crash. Okay, it's created. Let's move into the blog directory. And we're going to run server. So remember how to run a Python file. Python manage.py, and we're just going to add run server. Right, you can see the run server command is this is the link, so you can just click on this link, it will direct you to where the server is live. Now this code here, just ignore it for now. This is because remember that migrate I showed you, we haven't migrated all the changes available in our model and our database, so just leave it for now. We're going to get into that. Let me just show you to know this is how you check to see if you have installed your project properly. It should show you this. Okay, so this to show that the install worked successfully. Congratulations. So our Django app is up and it's running. So let's get back to the project. Let me explain the body of the Django. Okay, so we created a Django file blog with 2Gs, and it created a directory inside where we were. Now, if you open that directory, it has another directory with the same name as it. It has the manage.py file and it has the database SQLite. So what are these files? Manage.py is kind of like the server of your website. When you want to run almost any command, you go through manage.py. DB SQLite is your database for your system. It runs and manages most of all the database function. Then here in it, this file. So remember we covered it before when we are covering classes, objects, and all those. So here, this init allows um how would I how would I explain it? I don't even know how to explain it. It's kind of like to say that, oh hey, oh, It allows you to read a certain directory as a package. So you see most of all the folders you have this file and it's empty. There's nothing inside it. It's always empty. Never touch it, never delete it. All right. This ASCII, we can ignore it for now. Just leave it. Leave this ASCII, leave this WSGI. The only thing we need to work on is settings and URLs. So the URLs are literally what the names are. They are kind of like your URLs that allows you to link between different functions and pages in your website. So we're going to create an app later on and we're going to come here and link the app. Then settings is where you carry out almost all your changes. Every single thing you can see from here. You have installed apps, you have middleware, you have templates. Templates are your HTML and your CSS. You have your database. Here is if you want to like create, if you're not using the default DBSQ, like I want to create your own database, you change it here. And time zone, and here's your static URL. This is where you link your um okay, templates are HTML, static is CSS and images. Yes. All right, so that is every single thing in the project. Now we're inside our let's come out from here. We're inside our blog directory. We want to create an app. So running an app is similar, it's kind of like the same um command you use when creating a project. So it's Python start app, and we'll call the app core. All right, so another directory should be created over here. So let's just close this up so we can see it's core. Now, if you look into it, you see different things. The first one is a directory migrations. Currently, it only has this init.py, which means it's literally empty. Once you start making migrations, making changes to your database, all the changes will be saved inside a file, which will be saved inside your migration directory. Admin.py, you have your admin dashboard. So whenever you create a module and you want to push it to the dashboard, this is where you come to push that. You can ignore apps for now. Models.py is where you make changes to your database. You create, maybe if you want to enable users to be able to create maybe posts, like this project we're going to work on, we want them to be able to create posts. So we're going to come here, create all the inputs that a post should receive here, and we're going to push it into our admin. Ignore this test. Test is basically if you just want to test maybe your module or test how your site is working. You pass the conditions or pass what should happen when your app is running. Views.py is where you create, is views a nice word to explain. You create maybe what should happen. For example, I can create a view that links to HTML. I can create a view that triggers um a HTTP response, stuff like that. Oh gosh, I'm getting worse. And let's create another file inside the call, and it's going to be called urls.py. So I know you're like, we already have a number of URLs of py created in our main project. So why are we creating another one here? So when you start working on big projects, you need to like sometimes create so many apps. You can create an app that runs the dashboard. You create an app that runs the student dashboard. And apps that for run different purposes, and you want to be able to link all those URLs within themselves, then link it to the, yeah. For example, let's open up oh gosh, oh gosh, please help me. All right, let's open up the urls.py in our main blog app. Hmm. So this part is to link to the admin dashboard. So we just let's import include. Remember we covered import before. Okay. The All right, so path. This is to declare a path, to declare where it's linking to. Now I want this one to be the main link. If I add something behind it, maybe who any link from the app, because I'm going to link it to the app. I'm not linking it to a page, I'll link to the app. So what is going to happen is anything within that app that is opened will just run. You know that sometimes you see like you see your URL, then you see a backslash, maybe something like, for example, users, then backslash different directories. So that is because here users were placed, we placed users here. So what's going to happen, that any single thing that falls inside the directory that we're going to link these users to would have the users before it, before you have the directory link. But I just want to have like just an empty place, so it will just link directly to the main URL. Then we'll add include. This is because we want to include a whole directory. So we're going to link it to the URLs file for that particular directory, for the particular app. So the app is called, we save the app as called, and the name of the file that hosts the URL. You mustn't name it .urls.py, but it just makes better sense to that. So whatever named you name the oh shit, whatever name you named the app that controls the URLs for that app, you just link it here. So mine is .urls. And just add a comma. So you can save that. Oh, wow, I think I'm getting worse. I think I'm actually really getting worse. I need help. All right, so this is the one from inside our blog. Next, let's just create our template and our static, so we can like link everything. So we want to create this inside the blog app. So we're going to create two folders. The first one is going to be called template. Tem This is going to hold all the HTML files we create. We're going to create another one called static for our CSS file. And we're going to create the last one called images. So how do we link? Because right now we have declared this we have created the folders, but the project doesn't really recognize them per se. Yeah, linking in when you're working with HTML. Quite right. Most of our programs will write a lot of things in HTML, but links working in all these folders is quite different from the way you have worked in a typical HTML file. So how do we do this? We're going to open, remember the settings the py. So we're going to pull that up. Okay, so first let's just import OS. All right, so we're going to scroll down to remember that place where I showed you that we have installed apps. All right, we're just going to add the name of the app we added. So anytime you create a new app in your project, always come here and add it, so that the app will be linked to your project. If not, you're just creating a separate app that isn't linked. So now for this template, inside this DRRs, this is our directory. So we're going to link it to the directory where the templates can be found. So we'll just use base directory, like this is our base directory. It's base underscore dir actually. And what is the name of the folder? That is template. All right. Next, what else? We want to work on our static and our image. So just scroll down to the end of the site. So we already have this static etc. So if your static file is not named static, you need to change this one first. Then we're going to do our static root. So we're declaring the base directory for our static file, which is anytime a static file is run, this is like the directory that should be searched. Just I'm trying to like check my spelling because I tend to make a lot of mistakes. And when I start running it, I wouldn't be able to like know what exactly caused the error. So I'll start the project all over, only for me to discover like was a spelling error. So I get very scared. I think that's my only problem with programming. I tend to like freak out when I'm spelling things. Static files underscore dirs. Okay. I feel like I'm a bit hungry, and we're going to write the name of the static folder. All right, so let's go for our images. It's almost the same way of linking the static URL, but now it's going to be media. Usually before, people usually just use the static file to hold images, and I did that before, but I felt like it's better to like have a different folder for my images, because after some time it's going to like get confusing. For example, if I want to like have a background image and if I want to receive images from users, you need to be able to like differentiate all this stuff. So, but by starting with a basic program, so if you feel like doing that, you can. It's all up to you. Anything that you feel work better for you. That is what programming is. It's just hacking the system, finding what works better for you. So I can say it's the exact same way we did for the static. That I was just repeating the code here. All right, so we're done with our settings folder, so we can close it up, and let's close up on our project directory for now, and let's open the call. So we have learned how to install Django, learned how to create a project in Django, learned how to create um an app in Django, learned how to link the app, and learned how to link static and template directories, right? So now let's open up our app folder and let's start working on it. Okay, it's already open. So first thing we need to create, we need to work on our module. All right, so let's open models.py. Why do I keep calling model? Is models. So this models is going to enable us to receive special inputs from wow special inputs from users. So what we want to receive the name of the article. We want to receive a brief summary of the article. So on the home page, we wouldn't have the whole article there because it'll be clustered. We want to receive the name of the person who wrote it, the date it was added or updated, then the content and an image, because some articles come with images, right? So first things first, let's create a class. So you guys remember when we covered everything about classes. So we're going to create a class, and let's just name the class host. Now inside the class, we're going to declare this model.models. It's going to allow us to access all the models inputs method. So dot the M model is a capital letter M. All right. Now let's start receiving the input. First thing, we need to receive the title. So how do we receive? Remember, we run models first. Dot the type. This is almost like the way forms are in HTML. So you have char field. This is for like text. Char field is equivalent to text. Text field is equivalent to text area. Now we will be covering each and every one of them as we go on. So this is a char field. Then we can limit the length on how much can be accepted. So that is max underscore length equals to, you can just impute how many how long the name can be. How long is the names titles usually? I don't know. All right. Next we want to receive a summary. Still the same thing. Models, just see these models dots as equivalent to input in HTML. So we also want another char field because we don't want it to be too long. Okay, and let's add the max length also. All right, next we want to the author. So this is going to be a foreign field. Now what is a foreign field? Author. Okay, a foreign field is when you take um inputs from a field that is already created. For example, users. Users by default are already created in your system. We'll get into that. So what a foreign field does, if I create a foreign field for users, it will go to that user box and pick out, it will like be a drop down field of all available users. So if you want to add in like categories to your site, you will have like pre-created categories, and maybe there'll be a place where users can go and create new categories. When you now go to this app, if there's a foreign field linking to that categories models, what is going to happen is that it will have a drop down of all the categories already available, and you can pick from them. So since we're going to use a foreign field called users, we should import it because we didn't create the user models. The user model is already created by default from Django. So from, remember when we're going to app, you can just go back to your settings. You can check installed apps. You see an app that has to do with authentication. So from Django dot contrib dot authentication, that is auth dot models, we will import um, users. All right. So now we can create our foreign field. So it's going to be models dot foreign key. Then it's going to be the name of the model, the name of the model that contains the details we want to access, which in this case is user. And we want to know, people will delete articles. So since they foreign key, if you delete an article, we'd want it that once the article is deleted, the user is not deleted. Because if you just leave it, like if someone just deletes an article, the whole user and every single thing the user has added to the blog would also be deleted. So to prevent that, we pass this on delete, and we want it to cascade. So it's going to be models dot cascade. All right. Next, the date the stuff was added. So date, and it's going to be equal to models dot, there's this date time field, and you can now add it that since we want it, because we don't want the users to have to impute the date on their stuff. So once that, just as they are saving the project, the date is automatically choosing the current date that is active. So auto underscore now underscore add, and we'll just set it to true. All right, so you can see it's actually very easy. Let's want to create the body. This is going to accept all the inputs, and this is going to be a text field because body can be as long as it wants to be. So models dot text fields, and lastly, we want to receive the image. Upload is going to be an image field, Now, before we can actually migrate this image field, we're going to have to install something. So I'm just we'll get to that shortly. So we want to set the path where the images would be saved to. And we wanted that because it's not all articles that have images. So if you want a model to be able to be left, if a model is not required, you set the null and blank to true. Null equals to true and blank equal to true also. Now this next part you can check it on. We covered something similar to this on the blog. So we have declared the class. So now we're just going to sort of like declare type of self and the main things that like it will return once it's okay. Where am I? Alright, so define a function. It's going to be a string. Okay. So what are the things we want it to return from the models created above? So we want to return the title. So it's going to be self. If you don't really understand the section, we covered it. I think it's either in the video or on the blog. So you can just check it. Self dot title. That means it will return only the title of the particular. So like when we're going to do, because if you don't like declare this self aspect, the whole thing can become jumbled. If you create multiple ones, like a topic for one can be like at another. So you add this self. This self allows it that only the one being called will contain like its own personal title, its own personal, you understand. So all right, so now that we're done with this, we're going to save it, and we're going to before we can make a migration, because okay, let me just show you. If we try to migrate it, so to migrate, we're going to do Python. I think I've already installed it, but if I've not installed it, it's going to crash. So Python manage dot py make migration. I mean, since I'm in a virtual environment, it shouldn't be installed in this virtual environment because I haven't installed it yet. Okay, good. So it crashed. So did they tell us why it crashed? Okay, they weren't exactly helpful as to why it crashed. All right, so in order to make use of images in Python, you need to import something called um pillow. So you'll just import it the way you import every other thing. So it's going to be pip install pillow. No. Okay, let's try making migrations again. Okay, wait, I don't think we didn't migrate the first because you're supposed to migrate everything at first. Let's migrate those ones first. Could that be what the problem is? Okay, no, there actually is a problem. Call urls.py. Oh, I linked this one here. I linked it to urls.py, but our urls.py is currently blank. So let me just exit and see that maybe that's what the error is. And the path we are uploading to images. All right, good. Finally. So now we can migrate it. So when we migrate it, remember that place I told you inside our core app that controls all the migrations. So you can see these migrations here. So let's just allow it to finish. And now if we open it, you can see a new file has been created. This is the migration we just did. So for every new migration you do, a new migration will be created. So if you look into it, you should be able to see the changes that were made. So you can see we created a model, that is migrations that create model. The name of the model was called post, and these were the fields inside it. You can see, right? All right. Um, okay, you look up here, you see this ID was created now. So this ID is kind of like the PK private key of the project. So this is what is going to allow us to be able to call a specific um project. So you're whatever you do, shall try your possible best to stay away from there. So now that I've made the migrations, we are going to create a super user. So Python manage.py create super user. Creating a super user is the same thing as creating an admin. Create super user. Right, so I'm going to name mine admin. An email address. All right. So let's just run our server. And let's come back to this urls.py. So we just created a super user, so we need to run into the admin section. So how do we get there? You see this part here that goes to the admin.site.urls. This takes us to the admin section of our site, and the path is back is admin. So your current this link back after this slash, we're going to just drop this admin here. All right. So let's go there. So let's open the admin file first. So if you look into here, we haven't registered any models yet. Later on, we're going to register posts into it, but as of now, we haven't done that. and that is intentional because I want to show you what happens when you do and when you don't register model. So right now it's empty. So the only models here are going to be the default models of of an admin site, which is going to be the user and group. So let's just go to the path. Okay. Just here slash admin. All right, so we'll log in. Okay, so we can see we're at the Django administration. Here we can see your groups, you can see users. So these the users that we linked with the foreign key, that foreign key. So it's going to access all the users that are inside this part, and those are all the things. So how do we create a post? Let's go back to our project. Inside the admin file, we'll first import from our models the model we want to add. So we're going to import post, which is the name of the model we just created. So it's going to be the name of whatever you called your own. And we're going to register it to the site. So admin dot site dot register and the name of the model you want to register. So it's very, very easy, right? Admin dot site dot register. Let's reload it and see what changes are made. So now you can see core. So this core is the name of the app that was created. If we create another app and we link a model from the app, it's going to have the app name up and the model. So if we open post, let's add a new post. So we're going to see every single thing we created. We see the title, you see summary, you see author. So right now we only have one author. You see body, you see upload, and you can see date added is missing. That's because we set the date to add it by default. So let's just create a random post so that when we start running the app we'll be able to view it. I'm going to create one with an image and note has image. Author is going to be admin, and the body, let's do this loremptious. What do you call that stuff? Lorium. Is that what you call it? That stuff. Uh, and so I'll just copy this, and let's add a random image. Okay, save and add another. This new one we're going to add is going to be um it doesn't have an image, no image included. The author is going to be admin, and the body is going to be and we're just going to save it. Okay, so now that we have that done, we have created the model. So right now we cannot really access the model because we haven't stated how we're going to be able to access that specific model. Our site is still going to be this because we haven't changed any of the views yet. So let's go and change that. So first we need to actually create the views. So we are done with models, we're done with admin, and we are done with, okay, no, we're not done. I had to delete that part so we'll not get an error. So let's create our views. So once you create the views, that's when you can now link it to your um to the oh shit, that's when you can now link it to the URLs. So for the blog, usually blogs require people to sign up. So the way I want this blog to work is the only way you can read post is if you are logged in. So let's define the sign up function. So now, why are we using a function here? Because we want to be able to call it at random places. I don't know if you have watched. I'll link the whole playlist. If you watch my video of functions, I explained how functions work. So we want to be able to continue calling it and still have it carry out the exact same actions once called, no matter what the inputs are. So that is basically what we're doing here, which is why we need to call a function. Now, why did we not use functions in the models? Why did we use class? Because class, we create objects that the class holds. So for class, we are creating objects such as post. The posts are objects which remain held in the class, which can always be called when the class is called for. And once the class is called, we can now decide to call a specific object in the class. For functions here, we are not exactly how I explain it? I really don't know how. I'm going to create a whole new video where I explain why functions I use and why classes I use. But I hope you shall understand so far, at least understanding of first word. So we'll define this. We're going to make a request. Okay. Now, what do we want for the sign up? So under the whole authentication and everything, Django already has some features that need to know. So let me just import everything we're going to need to import now, so that um as the program is running, because I tend to forget to import certain things. So as I'm importing it, I'll tell you why. So this render is what allows you to render a page, allows you to preview a template onto a page. Then redirect is, as the name implies, for you to be able to redirect once a certain function is carried out. Next we want to import um huh. All right, let's import our settings. We're going to import user because we're going to be creating a lot of users name, and when a user is created, we want to push it into that user on the admin page that I showed you just now. So users are found in, we already imported it before, from django.contrib.auth.models. Okay, then we want to import messages. This is where you can kind of like, I think JavaScript also has something like this. Even Bootstrap has it. For example, if maybe you create an account and there's an error with your form, this message will be prompted. It will prompt a message to kind of like tell you, oh, you had an error, or successfully created. So this is found in Django.contrib. Just import messages. Now from the auth, because we need to authenticate the user. So what we need to be able to check that the username or the user email or it's not created. We need to be able to check that the passwords are equal to each other, all those kind of stuff. So that is what this particular line now, we're just importing directly from auth. So we're going to import firstly authentication to be able to authenticate the user. Then we're going to import login, which once authenticated can push the user to login. and we're going to import logout. Okay. And next, from our main block settings, we need to be able to import settings. So that's the name of our app. And we're going to import the settings file. All right, now when we want to start displaying, when we want to start displaying the blogs we created, we would need to have a list view and a detailed view. So the list view is just going to be like when you see the title and the summary, and the detailed view is when you see all the details entailed to so there are so many other types of views, but we don't need those here. We just need and let's import the post because that is what we are going to have on the list view. All right, so now to work on this sign up, so we want it to what we're going to, okay, let me start explaining it slowly. When the user goes to the sign up page, a form is going to be displayed for them, right? And that form is going to contain um how will I say this? The form is going to contain all the inputs that need to be received. And like when we covered HTML forms, we covered that forms have different methods. They have the post method and the get method. So we're going to first check what type of method was sent. So if request dot method is equal to, oh shit, that method is equal to post. So what we want to do, we want to get, if the method was posted, we want to get all the inputs that were given. So we want to get the username. Alright, so we are going to set username, the first name, last, email, password, and the confirmation password. Then we're going to request what the user imputed, and we're going to pass it into this variable we've stated here. Alright, so next we need to start the validation process. So I'm just going to impute all the validation process of everything, and I'm going to explain it to you. Okay, so we are going to pass various conditions. So first thing is going to be let's just come under here. So once the inputs are received and saved into these variables we declared, we're going to have if the current user, that is, so it says it's the current user, so we're going to pick out the values of what the current user created. Remember the whole class, creating objects into class, being able to select each individual, you remember that whole thing. So first thing we want to check if the username entered is already present in the database. So that means if it is equal to another username, um we want to pass an error message. So this is like the prompt. Remember we imported it, and we're going to, so what do we want it to say? Let's say username already exists. and we must make sure to redirect it. If you don't redirect it, then it's just going to skip this whole process and continue running through, which means it's going to end up creating when we pass the user the save. So let's return it. So we'll send it out of this place and redirect to home. So now here, why are we not using Europe? Because when we declare the, we're not yet going to do, we've not yet done it yet. Well, we haven't, okay, we haven't declared the home. So let's define a home. Let's declare a home place where everything is going to be referred to. Although, I want the home page to be the blog. So, um, hmm. Okay, let's leave it for now. Okay, let's just put it so we can run a test and see what we're doing. You know what? No, no, no. I'm very confused right now. Oh my god. Okay, let's define the home. But you know what? I don't even have the template. So no, let's just do it like this. Let's just do it like this. Okay. I'm very confused. There's an indentation error here. Or is my eyes not seeing correctly? Okay. So the next thing we want to test for is if so we want to check if the email already exists. So if email is equal to email, then we're going to pass an error message. So it's going to be an email already exists. We will just add a little login to continue. And then we are going to return a redirect. And let's just send it home. Alright, next we want to check for we're just going to check for length. We're going to check if password is not equal to, and we're going to check if everything is a number. So let's just do that. Alright, so we have if the username already exists, pass an error and redirect. If the email already exists, pass an error and redirect. If the username is greater than 10, pass an error and redirect. If the password is not equal to the second password you imputed, pass an error and redirect. And if the username is all numbers, pass an error and redirect. So you can, if you have specific conditions you want username or the email or whatever to be, you can pass all those conditions here. Once you're done with that, you want to take the user's input and save it into a variable, my user. You can name it whatever, and so you're going to get the user objects, and we're going to create a new user with it. So when we create user, we're going to select the variables we want to collect. So we want to collect the user. No, we want to collect the username. We want the email, and we want just one of the passwords. All right. Then we also want to set, because if you go to our admin where's the admin section? If you go to where we have shit, my battery is low. Okay, let me just quickly show you this now. Just plug it in. If you go to where we have our admin, we have a place for first name, we have a place for last name. So we want to get my user dot. So we want to get I'm just trying to be fast. We want to first get the first name and we want the last name, and we want to collect the variable input for first name here was f name, and that for last name was l name. So let's just save this now and come back later. Alright, so we need to save it. So we're going to do my user dot save. So what it's going to do is going to take the user's input and just save it into the database. And let's just allow the user know that it's been created successfully. So we have messages dot success. So we're going to request it. Then we just prompt a message. So let's say your account was created. All right, now let's push them to where they can log in. Okay, and let's see our URLs. This is the main URLs. Let's work on our URLs for this page. So we need to import the path. Okay, and did we set up our this stuff yet? Okay, we've already set up our static, so let's add it and link it to our project. So from Okay, in case you don't know what I'm doing right now, I want to link the static files to our core app so we can be able to access it and apply the HTML and CSS to our project. So that whenever we link it, the file will know where to access it from. Let's come here. Alright, so now we can start adding our path. So just using main URL patterns. So this URL pattern is compulsory to always have between your URL file because this is what lets the server know where to search for certain things. Also, we first have our main part, which is going to be that. Let's see what views we have declared. So okay, we're creating a part for the sign up and the sign in because we have linked it, and maybe we'll just do the sign out where was it. Okay, let's do the first part, our sign up. So within the part, the first is going to be the URL for like the URL that we added to the main URL to know where we're going to search for. So let's just make it sign up. Next, we've imported views here, so we're going to access views, and it's going to be the name of the views we are looking for. So what did we call these views? Sign up. And a name. This name is going to be, so whenever we like, okay, look at what I did here. For example, whenever I'm redirecting, I just redirected home. I didn't have to start using like a whole link or anything. Here I just redirected sign. So that is like the name. So the name is helps your redirection to reduce the amount of things that will be present in your site. Okay, and always don't forget the comma even though your site will crash. So let's define our sign-in view so we can create a URL for it. So we'll define sign in. So what we want to do is verify the sign in details from the form that is going to be created. So we have if the request method is equal to post, quite similar to what we did before. So we want to, if it's posted, we want to be able to retrieve the details so we can run it through our verification, our authentication stuff. So we're going to do the same thing for the password. So now we're going to authenticate the users. So using the authenticate we already imported. So what it's going to do is going to check your database to ensure the username is present. And if the username is present, you are going to validate it with the password to ensure that it's the right password. So now this is if user is not known, that is basically if the user exists, that is if the authentication was successful. So we want to log in the user, but we don't just want to log in any random user. So we're going to request the current user which aligns to with the details we just validated. And we want to redirect them to the home. We haven't created our home page yet, so we're going to get to that shortly. So what is going to happen if the user comes across an error? Maybe the user doesn't exist or the values the user entered is wrong. So later on, we're going to learn how to specify which error the user got. But for now, we're just going to use a general error. Right now, let's create our sign out. This one is very, very short. Alright, so let's just create the URLs for these. Then we're going to get our templates because we don't yet have our HTML template. So getting errors, if you check here, you can see a lot of errors. I wrote something wrong. Alright, so I've created URLs for each and every one of these. So now let's add our template so our project can actually function. So I'm going to leave the link to where you can download the template in the description below. But let's just come over to my folder over here, and all right. So as I'm creating it, I'm going to explain it to you. So let's just create the first file, which is going to be our index. Now the index is going to be our base file. So in Python, we have this thing where you have a base template and other templates can extend from it. So whatever that base template is going to be in HTML, and you're going to like have the full HTML details with it and everything. And you can style on that page, give it a structure. So whenever anything, like you look at here, this block context here. So whenever you want to add any code, when if you create a new template, for that template is going to be a Django template, not HTML. It's still written in HTML code, but it's called a Django template. So any code you add will be placed in the middle of here or wherever it is placed on whatever side of the code it's placed. So let's just copy this. This is just basic HTML. So let's just copy to here. Okay. I'm ignoring the styling, so I'm just getting the code here. All right, and you can save it. So this is our index. So every other template is going to extend from here. So let's see which other one do we have. Our home. So you can see it extends from index.html. Then you have the block content which you would want to lock inside that block content that we created in our index. So we're just going to create a new file, which is going to be home.html. Okay, so if you check inside my code, you see that I have some ID. So you can leave out the ID. I just added the ID for when I was styling it, but I'm not styling this code now. So you can leave that out if you wish. It's not going to crash your code or anything. It's just when you're styling the code, that is basically what it's for. Alright, so we have our home.html. What else? We need our login and sign on. So this is going to be sign in. All right. So this sign in template is making use of CSRF token. So that is a type of like form token in especially for there are different there's the CSRF and there's what do you call this other one? Why can't I remember? There's CSRF token and there's crispy form. Yes, crispy forms. So those two are like two of the very basic or common forms. So CSRF is a more secure type of form. It's usually like for example when we're creating login form. So see, so first we extend from index of HTML, then we lock it in the block content, which is going to be placed in the body, since that is where we place it in the index from where it's extending from. So this place here. is running a for tag, a for loop, which loops through that messages that were declared in the views.py. So if and it checks if there's a message present to be prompted, the message will be prompted in this section. So wherever I place it in my code, that is where the messages will be viewed. Then this next place here is where we have our form. So I just created the basic HTML form. But after I set the method to post, because remember we search for post in the views to see it posted, and I add this CSRF token before I create. You just create a very basic form. By this point, you already know how to create your HTML form. You have and one for username, for password, because this sign in. Then I added a link to the sign up page. So you can see that, and let's create our sign up. Right, so the sign up works the exact same way as the sign. You know that your form is going to have more features. You have your username, you have full name, last name, you have, and the ID you use. Like as you can see here, we have this ID username. This is the ID that we search from in our view. So make sure all these things are colliding for whenever you're creating your own separately. If not, there's nothing for your file to read. So we need to also create a home page. Yes, so we need to create a home page because we keep redirecting to this home, but we don't have a home page. Home.html. I already have my home. Oh, so I already created. When did I create my home? I don't remember this. Huh. Okay, we have sign up, we have sign in, we have index, we have home. All right, so that detail we'll get to detail later. Alright, so this is the home. So for now, we're just going to ignore this place here. The main thing we want to focus on is the header where the messages will be prompted to. So let's create a URL for the. I think the home will even crash. If I should I comment that place? Let's just let me comment it out. Let me comment it out. So I'm commenting out from here. All the way to here. Okay. So let's just create the views. Let's create our views. Let's place it up here. So we're going to define home. This method I'm using here is if you want to just link to a HTML page. You don't want to add any special features to the views. And you just add the name of the template, which is home.html. Alright, I still don't remember creating this home. I don't know. And our URL for it is path. Is this something wrong? All right, it's running. So let's just load it. Let's view site. Oh, I declared the link as home. I want it to be the direct. Let's just use the plain URL here. Okay, let's load it. All right, so we are logged in already. So we sign out. So we got the message up here. Blog. So we can sign up. So this is our sign up page here. Oh, I didn't render a page. I didn't render a page. Okay. Oh gosh, I didn't render a page where this thing should be viewed on. So all right. So we need to render. So it's going to be the HTML template we want to render. All right. So this should fix the error hopefully. All right. So let's which user account do I already have? Let's see our admin. Okay, we have admin and this is the email. So we're going to create an account using all this stuff so we can run all those errors. You can try it on your own also. I'm just going to run a few. I'm going to run using the same username. I'll just pass any random first and last name. Let's use a different email address for the first one. Right, so let's create an account. Um right, so we'll use the main detail for admin. Then we'll just push in random um oh, I'm trying to sign in when I'm already logged in here. Sorry, let me go back home. Let me go home first and log out. And sign out first. Alright, let's try it again. Alright, so you can see username already exists. So it's just going to keep on passing different errors like that. If you try to like based on all those, remember those let me pull it up. Based on all these conditions you passed here, like if you can just test on your own, just try and counter all these things. When passing an email that already exists, passing something greater than 10, or whatever condition you use for your own site. But now let's create a legit new user. Right, so your account has been created. So we need to log in as an okay, it's going to counter. Let me pull this up on a different site. Alright, so you can see what we created here. Killer has been saved now. Alright, so let's log in. So we're just using the details we created, sign in, and now we can see the sign out prompt. So what else do we want to do now? We want to be able to display um the post content. So that's when we come back here. So in Django field, there are these stuffs known as how do you call it? Um there are types of views. You import them from Django views. So they display list views and detailed views. So we're going to first of all let's import it. Okay. Oh, I've already been imported it from Django views, generic import, list view, and detail view. So we want out to have our list view on our home. So let's just hash this out and let's go and run it here. And just all right. So we're going to create we'll create a class because we want this one to receive objects. So that means we're going to have like so many things packed into it because the post is not just one post you're having. And let's just take this as blog and it's going to be a list view. So we're not making a request. We're having a list view. Okay. And we're going to the verbal listing form is the model we created and its name is post, right? Yeah, that was me. And we're going to push it into a page. So we'll use our home. All right, let's save this. And we are going to need to make an edit to our URL. Our URL is already sending an error. So we still want to use this main part, but let's import something. So the what we just created, and I think we called it blog. So let's import that. And here we're no longer creating this as taken from views. We're choosing blog, which was the class we created, and we're running the blog as a view. Okay, and we can save it, right? No error. Let's open the home.html and cancel out the stuff that I commented. And I'm just going to explain it to you now. So first thing we're going to do is to check if the user is authenticated. That is, check if the user is logged in. If yes, we're going to first check. So this is a loop. Remember we covered loop. So loop is used to iterate. So it's going to iterate through posts, which is the name of our like model. So it's going to be like the box holding all the posts created from the model post, and it's going to choose a list of the objects. So it's going to just pass through it. So let's say if we have five different posts, so it will pass through the first post, get the details, go to the second one, get details until there is no more posts left to go through. So once it goes through each individual post, what it's doing is first getting the URL. So this PK is a private key. So it's going to get a private key of the individual post. That means all the links are different. So when you click on it to view to get a detail, we're going to create detail view shortly. When you click to create the detail, it's going to be an individual key. So I've not declared the link for this postpaid key. But initially the link is very simple. It's going to be the name of, since I used article here, so my link is going to be article and a backslash is going to be int in pk. So it's going to be, I want the private key to be a number because usually IDs are individual numbers, and when you create a post, each of them, this Django will assign ID to them. So no two posts can have the same ID. So what it's going to be doing is picking up their IDs and assigning the IDs to the link. So once you click on it, it's the ID that open, and I'm pushing the ID into the post type. So these curly braces are used to select things for model. So whatever the model name is, that's what you have as the first place. Then you have the dot, and it's going to have the name of what part of the model you want to pick. So we want the title, we want the post author, we want a summary and the date added, and it's going to look. But else, if the user is not logged in, we just want to pass login to view articles. So let's create the details, right? Yeah, so it's detail.html. So let's create that. Detail.html. All right, and let's just copy it out, and I'm going to explain the code to you. So all of the source codes are going to be linked below it on my GitHub, so you can easily download it for yourself. But I'll advise you like to maybe just share do whatever makes you happy, honestly. All right. So once again, I have IDs defined in there, so just ignore the IDs. I use that because I'm styling it. So my style sheet is going to be uploaded online, but you can try to style it yourself. Even though you can just copy my code. So we have in our detail view, we have everything: the post title, the first name, last name, body, this one here, because we took a picture, so we need to pass this. It's going to crash if all of them don't have an image, so we need to first ensure that post or there's an image before we run this. But if there's no image, we'll just skip it. You can also use try and except to carry this out, but I used if. And yeah, that is basically it. So let's create the link for this detail page, and we've not even created the views, so let's create the views for the detail. So it's going to be a class, and we're going to let's name it um, article, and it's going to be a detail view. Remember, we already imported that. So this is also the same model we're taking from. And template name is the HTML file we just created for it. Right. So let's pull up. Let's create a URL for it. So this is what I was explaining just now. I want it to be article backslash. So we'll run this as an integer, and we want its private key, the personal ID that was created for each individual one of them. And let's just have the name of the class we're taking from. Let's import it first. Okay, once you import it, if you don't import it, the site is going to crash. So we'll use it. I'll just give it a name so it can be easily accessed. It's literally the exact same thing we're doing all over again. Alright, so what else haven't I done? What else haven't I done? I think let's run it first and see, sure. Okay, so we are logged in. So remember we created so one that has images and one that does not have images. Okay, the title is not showing why. Okay, it's showing but it's white. Why? I must have styled it somewhere. That is on the let's check. Okay, I set the colors to be white. Yes, let's just change that to black. And I also the same thing was in the details that HTML. So let's change that into black also. Alright, it's not showing anything. Let's run it and see if it's cutting fixed. Alright, so it's alright, so we are all set. So you can see the one with image is showing the image that we added, and the one without images is showing no image. And if you see, once you click on it, it opens the link to that particular one we clicked on because of that private key we added. You can also check the link here. So here it's two, but if you click on this first one, the ID that is going to show, which is currently one. So yeah, if you wish to style it, you can go crazy, style it however you wish, or you can just go to my GitHub and download it. But that's all for this video. In the next video, I'm going to be creating a phone book. And yeah, thank you all for watching. In case you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications so you know every single time I upload. I'm planning on starting to work on so many projects and uploading so much tutorials. So be active with me. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Bye guys.